Okay, it's 5:05, so I'll open the meeting. Is this all we have coming today?
Yes, Beth is not gonna be able to join us.
Okay. And we're officially down to our new number, correct?
That was the vote at the select board meeting. Yes, I think it's seven members is our,
7 full members, no,
Yes. no
no
associates.
associates.
Great.
And so we need a.
So are we short a member in general?
We're short a member in general, yeah, so we have 6.
And then we need 4 for a quorum.
Correct.
All right, so we got a quorum. Beth is our seventh member, right?
She's our 6th member, so we actually are, Harry's just the, he's a liaison.
Is, you know,
And that's a position that was made official by the select board, so we have to have a Chamber of Commerce liaison, if
No,
you will.
I don't think we have
I
to.
don't think we have
think
to.
we
I'm-
requested to have Harry come in and.
it's just a
So he's
regular
doing it
member.
just as a volunteer,
Yeah.
basically.
I think so.
And I know it's not on the agenda, but that question made me think of this one. Was there any resolution or final word as to how they're gonna handle the
Master plan.
master plan committee with the EDC person versus the at-large person?
No, I mean, I think that's really, it's the planning board's jurisdiction,
So they've done nothing with that yet, since we all went through that?
But my understanding, if you don't mind, from the
Yeah.
last master plan committee is that we're gonna run shorthanded the way we were. They didn't think that it was worthy of bringing somebody on at this
At this
point
stage.
into it.
Yeah, you're correct, Dono.
Yeah, so I don't think they're trying to fill it anymore. Am I correct?
Correct, yeah, that seemed to be,
All right.
obviously, the way they
Makes
were.
more sense, given where they are down the road with that.
And then I
Yeah.
became the EDC's,
So you're an EDC slash
right.
at-large member?
No, I'm
But
just,
you're the
I am
EDC
just
member.
EDC's
But
member
in the
now.
past, you were the at-large member,
Yes,
and so we
And they
just
switched me.
fulfilled our duty by having you switch, correct?
correct?
So if we kick you
Yeah.
off the EDC, then you're done.
Well, master plan's done.
Yeah. All right, good. So, the minutes, might as well just get that out of the way.
So that is my mistake. I forgot to send those out on Friday, so
gonna say, I didn't
unfortunately,
see
I'm
any.
gonna
Okay.
provide them to
Are
you for
those
next
the
meeting.
only minutes that we're
Those
behind
are
on?
the only outstanding minutes, correct?
Okay, so we'll push that till next meeting. Okay. Main Street Live,
I'll start with that status update if you want.
sounds good.
Well, we had a meeting which I was unable to attend due to a wake, which maybe Patrick might want to start by bringing that up, with the town, with the department heads and things like that, in order to kind of kick them off
Yeah. so
for
I mean,
Main
I think-
Street Live.
I believe most of us were here for that too, but essentially similar to previous years, members of the EDC as well as applicable members of town staff from administration, fire, police, health, and DPW, and I believe rec as well were there. We went over, obviously, the layout and setup. I think similar to the past few years, closing of Elm Street, the section that bisects the two northerly sections of the common, closing the section of Elm Street where there's the parking. I guess when you're heading past West Street, we kind of close that section for the staging parking to park after they've set up the stage, as well as where the food trucks go, usually on Front Street. So I think last year, I believe we had some barriers set up that kind of provide a little bit of buffering for those food trucks. So similar layout, similar setup. Obviously, I think just today I started the online permitting process for one-day liquor, one-day entertainment, and use of town property permits. Last year, I think they went forward pretty well. The select board and town administration are familiar with this event. It's happened for a few years now, so I'll keep the board updated on how those go and when they get before the select board. I believe I have all information I need other than the liability, which I might have to talk with you later.
Yeah, I'll
on
get a
now.
hold of that.
Other than that, the tip certification that Mark provided is still valid, so it should be pretty easy running that forward. I know we discussed permitting for food trucks or health permitting. And John has been working on that extensively, so that's a huge help for this board, or for this committee. A lot of that information is available online, which is great. So I think we can get that information out to prospective vendors that are going to join us. So other than that, I think we're sitting pretty good. I guess from my standpoint of what I need to do, I some of the branding imagery for the billboard signage. I can get that to you at some point, Donnell. I don't know
Yep.
when you want those available, but
You usually start that probably maybe 5 or 6 weeks before the event.
okay,
I try to get it up 4 weeks before the event.
okay. I think that's it. Does anyone else remember anything from that?
I was on that meeting, it seemed to be status quo,
From DPW?
yeah,
Yeah,
everybody.
they're all good.
In amongst us, you know, I don't know if we really talked about it, but John, Brian, and Kevin now have kind of worked into the subcommittee and a part of it now instead of just
Yeah, good.
yourself. In fact, I saw Rich Shields today in the center of town. So Brian's gonna kind of focus on sponsorships with you and help you out in getting sponsorships and along with Kevin, just trying to get that, which is our main, our biggest
Yeah, it's the
problem.
biggest priority.
Our biggest issue and the biggest priority. And Brian's kind of given us some things here. We had discussion at a meeting, the subcommittee meeting, when we met in regards to this. We met through Zoom. John has taken on the food trucks, which Ariel used to do, and that seems to be running right along. I
Yeah.
think you're up to 6 or 7.
I'm at 9 now.
9 different trucks.
Gonna go to 10 with the one pizza, and that's capped, because I'm assuming, I hate to say, some won't show.
Yeah.
And I also don't wanna put too many on where it becomes uneconomical for them, where they just come in, there's not enough business. So I feel like 10's a good number, we get 8 to
Yep.
show up, 7 to show up, and that's a good number, where 3 and 4 is too few, and 12's too many.
I think it's also a good number logistically, because we can get like 6 or 7 on Front Street, and we can get another 3 or 4 on West Street, so it kind of logistically works out right. So I think that's where we should,
Do you have a list of who you
should be.
contracted yet?
I do.
Yeah.
I have,
Oh, that list on that, that came up before is
Yeah.
no, it was,
accurate?
Well, it was a little, you said it was a little off.
little,
right?
yeah, I've done so far, so we have Captain Martin's, it's confirmed, Trolley Dogs, Melt in Your Mouth, Shishka Berries, Republic Barbecue, Thank You Barbecue, Hawaiian Jim Shaved Ice, the Sausage Guy, which Donnell, you said you contacted
yeah,
him?
he
I didn't talk to
is,
him.
through a friend of mine, he said he's in.
All right, and then Smile the Miles Ice Cream, and I'm gonna add one more pizza truck, that's the last one we're missing. And that'll give us 10.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Is,
great.
is Grandy's coming as well? Ice cream?
Who?
Grandy's Ice Cream?
They didn't respond.
Okay, I just
sent
saw,
them
I
an email.
just see them here. So you have,
They
how
will.
many ice creams? 2?
I have I have Smiles by the Mile, I have
Never heard of
Shishka
that.
Berries, which is the chocolate dipped strawberries, and I have the shaved ice. So 3 desserts, 6 dinners.
Let me ask a question, will, you think Rita's will be open by then? The new
Oh, the new ice cream?
ice cream
Not sure.
slash,
Whatever it
They
is.
should be.
Should
I-
be.
And I did
I
talk
know they're
to,
doing interviews now.
I did talk to Chris and other people. They said they're already so busy that night, the downtown business, they couldn't even handle it.
Right.
So
go.
those
Good.
places
Rita's
won't,
is just far enough off though that where, I don't think another dessert person would be a bad idea. But, I mean, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but they might wanna get involved because they're opening, I would say they're probably gonna open early August.
yeah.
Did the Episcopal Church with Strawberry Shortcake?
They
get
always do
involved?
their strawberry shortcakes.
Yeah, so that's.
I didn't contact them, should I contact them?
I want to, yeah, they usually,
I can get you the
we
contact.
usually touch base with them. I know the last 2 or 3 years, they've had a booth out there. They run out, but they have a booth and, you know,
Yeah, they
It
sell out
works.
every year. I
Yeah.
keep telling them they should, but it's a risk, you know, cause they're spending the money on everything they bring. And it's not like you can put it away.
yeah.
And I did try to limit, like, not having 10 barbecue places, 10 seafood places.
Right.
Because they do have to make money too, to make it worthwhile for next time.
And that's a good mix. Every one of those people except for, have we ever had Republic before? I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
Thank You was here last year and they did really well. The Sausage Guy, last year, I talked to them before they left because they sold out and they said they brought more than they've ever brought
They sold
to
out.
an event like this and they still sold out early. They said, no way we're not coming back. That's what the 2 guys that were there last year.
Yeah. So I think we have more than double we had last year,
Yeah,
so.
so I think it's a great,
Yeah, I
Right.
think it's
Great
gonna
thing.
be.
Thank you sold out too, didn't they?
I think they did, yeah.
That's good.
Hey, could you give us an update on the band situation and what's going on there?
I'm in negotiations with literally 6 bands right now for 2. So 6 bands for 2 spots, and the other 2 spots will be smaller and more local, because I want to still
Okay.
try to keep that local flavor in. One of them is a big AC/DC cover band. I think that will go over well. And then the other one,
Be different and change it up.
yeah,
nice.
and the other one's an Aerosmith cover band.
Okay,
Last Resort will be that Tom Petty band. I don't want to use them again. We've used them twice now. They go over really well,
Yeah.
and if I need them, I definitely will call them.
Yeah.
But I just think, in an effort to not be repetitive,
I agree.
you know, we'll go a different direction. But the criteria, in my opinion, for the band that goes on last, quite frankly, is to just have it be a party more than a concert. So the band needs to be able to come up with a set list that people are gonna know 80% of the songs.
Cover band, yeah.
Yeah, or a tribute band, where they're, you know, if you play 12 AC/DC songs, the crowd's gonna enjoy it. Yeah, same with Aerosmith, you know? And that's why they like that Tom Petty band so much, is, you know, you get the feel for it.
Sounded a lot like him.
Yeah. As opposed to just, if you've noticed, I've gone away from just the straight cover band at the end, even though, I mean, he's a good friend of mine. They do a great job, 11. But while you feel like you're hearing music and drinking beer, that's what you're doing. You're hearing music and drinking beer. Good music, but you don't feel like you're at an event as much as I want this event to feel like an event. So I think, you know, some of these, like this AC/DC band, if I can get their price down a little bit, I mean, this band comes out in full costume, full lights, full explosions, full everything.
Explosions?
Yeah, well, you know, you think you're watching AC/DC.
We're outside, there's no station night.
Oh, we're not inside.
Yeah, we're not inside, we're good.
So that's the direction I'm trying to go with it. And one of the other things I'm doing off-band, I got the stage light, sound, all that locked up.
Is that all, that's
Yeah.
all done?
That's all locked up. We've used them so many times now that they're not even asking me for a deposit yet. They will.
Okay,
But on the, I think I mentioned to you in my email, I sent it back late because I was so busy today when I saw yours. But I just want to make sure that with the sponsorship one sheet that you've come up, which is awesome, I think it's a great program. But we have to make sure that we're separate from the stage sponsors because they come up with a lot more money. Having said that, there is a program that I'm kind of working on right now that I wanted to get the board's opinion before I go too far with it. Brian, you know what co-op advertising is, and so I'm trying to get a consortium of a group of businesses in this area that are not currently allowed to do business in Walpole. People know where I'm going?
no,
And,
What do you mean they're not allowed
to do business in Walpole.
yeah, they're not allowed to open a store in Walpole per town meeting.
You're
bylaw.
talking about a marijuana dispensary?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
And there's, I got 6 of them on the line that are talking about doing your Eastern Mass retailers and wanna come up with like, between the 6 of them, like 12 grand to do the stage. But I don't wanna get too far down the road. I'm not against it at all, but I don't wanna be unilateral in this and
Well,
create.
if their justification is to try to say, hey, we're gonna support the local community, hopefully town meeting, you'll vote for us in the future as it's becoming more popular, I don't see a downside to it.
Only for the same reason why town meeting voted not to allow them in Walpole. And they're looking right now as to whether or not they're even allowed to sponsor things like this, but they think they are, because they're all over every billboard on Route 1, so,
Oh, that they are.
yeah.
Yeah.
The only other
Patrick,
thing is
hold on.
that,
So the only thing that I can
It's a
think of,
big-
and the, you know, police may be able to speak more to this, I don't know if there's some sort of community service element that a few of them have to also abide by as well. And it's weird, because obviously the town of Walpole does not allow for recreational sales, but I don't know if that necessarily prohibits them to only offering, assistance to towns where they operate, if that makes any sense. So
I'm thinking of a
vaguely
business
have,
But as a
What?
consortium.
I'm just thinking of business
that's
in
why
general,
that's
if you
the-
can't operate in one town, if you're an asphalt
The only
plant,
thing
why would that
from my-
stop you from sponsoring another town's function?
I don't think it does, so I'm not sure of the whole parameter, I just know there's something associated or connected with,
Oh, there
with
is, okay.
recreational sales where they do have to have some sort of, not just obviously what they're paying taxes, but what's, community service.
But that doesn't stop them from literally marketing in other communities, right? Because those billboards, those billboards on Route One
Yeah,
are.
they're-
Publicly, yeah, so there's.
And they're
well,
Uxbridge and everything, I mean, they're all over the place.
So,
now you're crossing into something I guess you probably need more aligned with First Amendment. I don't know if that's something that we can prohibit or if that's more of a question for the police department.
I don't wanna get them involved.
No, I'm just,
It's advertised.
I don't imagine it can be, I don't imagine that there's
Well,
anything wrong
Danell
with it.
knows all too well, and it drives him up a wall, that I'm much more of a ask for forgiveness than permission person. But I can't see a business issue with it, but I wanted to talk to everybody about the look and about the optics, yeah.
Because
The
you have
perceptions, which is,
Right.
I'm
you
kind
have
of
a
worried about.
community event,
A
lots of
family
kids
event.
there.
Yeah.
We had no problem letting Palumbo Liquors sponsor it for 2 years.
I know, and I get the toughness on that,
Yeah.
because, you know, it's now supposed to be held in the same regard
Right.
as
Time
alcohol
goes
and
on, it
everything
used to
like
be,
that, and
It
marijuana was
outsold
bad.
alcohol in Massachusetts last year.
I
Think about
wouldn't
that.
mind it if it was gonna be one or two of them, but if it's gonna be like the big main sponsor and it's all about that, obviously, there won't be any distribution or pamphlets or material
No,
going
nothing.
out or, postage or, you know, well, obviously, there's gonna be postage and signage somewhere, so.
Big signage, but it's gonna be all of them.
I don't know.
And
I'm
you're-
wrestling with that.
Might need to, yeah, might need to look into that for you. Just because obviously this is an Economic Development Commission.
It's a hot
The
button
town.
for
It's
families
not
that,
you know, if we're a nonprofit.
I agree.
But it's
Yeah.
also hard, cause it's on the town property too, which I don't know.
I'd be more worried than the town than the local families.
Yeah.
So,
All right, but they're gonna lose that argument. I'm more worried
Yeah.
about the family's optics than I
I
am
am
about the
too.
town.
Me too.
yeah.
Yeah.
well, it's not like you're running Hempfest, number
Right.
one, right?
Right, I'm not
So-
promoting the use or the non-use.
Right, right.
We also don't want it to turn into that either.
Correct, or
You
where
know.
do they go
It
next?
just seems
So
very,
there is some negativity.
I'll tell you,
with
it just
it,
seems
right.
very hypocritical if we're okay pumping out beer faster than we can open the cans for people. And
I have yet to see really drunk people at the event.
I agree,
You know, it
I
seems
agree.
like a crowd.
Yeah, it seems awesome, knock on,
Yeah.
you know,
Majority is very responsible.
everybody's done things
'Cause
in
we're-
a
Kevin and
great
I are
way.
selling the tickets right next
Right.
to where they're. in-
Oh, I'm not saying that we're
So it
getting
hasn't
people
been
drunk
that.
purposely,
Yeah,
but we've sold a lot of alcohol in the
Yeah.
past safely and
so
responsibly.
for 4,000 people, how many cans are you selling?
That's not the point.
The point is, we're selling
Alcohol, so.
alcohol, so why-
Marijuana's here, alcohol's here, we distinguishing between the difference of the two. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and we're not talking about selling
Yeah.
or marijuana, we're just.
Legally, there isn't, but perception-wise, there is,
That's
which
where
is
I'm-
why you have these town ordinances that don't allow it in town, and
Right.
Honestly, I'm on the fence of perception wise. I like getting the sponsor, I like getting the fact that it would cover more costs. I kinda agree with Danell that if it's not front and center and we put them, on a booth somewhere else, and there's no pamphlets being put out where, so they're all over the ground, I think I'd be leaning on more, the perception's okay, just like every other sponsor.
So I'm kind of against it. I don't see the risk. I don't see the reward versus the risk of some families starting to look at who's on the board. How do they make this decision? Why are they advertising in front of my kids? I'm not comfortable with that.
Okay,
And I would probably want to discuss it with town council or something, to be perfectly honest, just because it is, like I said, we are.
that's fine,
I know.
discuss it with town council. Town council,
You're in-
I know, but
no
I mean,
offense
it's.
to any lawyers out there, but
Hey, hey.
if you wanna, that's right. If you wanna
Talk to the
get
judge. something
into the gears and get it all wrenched
I-
into the gears, throw it to town council.
Yeah.
You know, I don't wanna push it.
Before we bring it to town council, let's as a board decide whether we do wanna do it at
Yeah.
the event.
Yeah,
And if we agree to do it, then we can go to town council. But for right now,
every kid,
what do you think
we're
on the
talking
perception?
families, and every time you drive, you cannot, Route 1 looks like Hempfest. every billboard on Route 1 between
Same with
Big Y
95.
and the stadium,
Yep.
beyond the stadium, every other billboard is a different marijuana dispensary. Now, I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent,
It is.
but they're spending money.
Not to be the downer, but the only, I guess, difference with that is the fact that the billboard is privately owned. And so
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
private entity
money.
leasing out space. Even though it's publicly viewable and accessible, it's a private entity leasing out that space for this. Whereas this board is a public, is municipal.
Would you be going to town council to ask the question, can we restrict that? Because it's freedom of speech, First Amendment, or are you going to the town council to ask them, are we allowed to have them advertise here?
So, yeah, I mean, it definitely can't infringe on freedom of speech or anything like that. I just don't know in terms of, obviously, what the committee wants to do, and then obviously,
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
a-
with the
it's-
town, yeah.
John, in my opinion, I think I'm with you, I think we're on the same page, but I wanna make sure. I think it's all an optics issue. I think the fact that it's on town land means it gives
I
us
don't know,
more,
as a private business,
gives
one
us
could.
more freedom to do what we wanna do, not less.
No,
I think
private
the
business is the
opposite.
opposite, exactly.
I think
Private
the
business, you could
opposite.
do whatever you want, you could take whatever sponsor you want. On a
But I could
public,
also on private, as a private citizen on private land, stop a sponsor from doing something for no reason at all. I could say no.
I think before we get this deep, we should just discuss as a board whether we wanna have for the optics. And if
Why don't we move it, have a subcommittee meeting sooner rather than later and move it
that's
to
fine.
that? I just wanted to have everybody think about it for a
Yeah,
bit.
no, definitely, I'd like to digest it a little
Yeah.
further, because there's part of me, the economics is obviously a good thing.
Yeah.
And then the second part is not only the family side, but also the naysayers in town.
Well, there's
I
always
don't
gonna be
want-
naysayers.
Right.
But we don't have them now. We don't really have them now when it
Well,
comes
just
to the
because
event.
the event is too fun.
I kinda just wanna poll my friends group
Yeah.
of kids. Like, I talk to them, say, would you care with your kids running around? I have a lot of friends with
Are
kids.
they ever
I'm
gonna
just
see it?
curious.
Right, right.
Why don't we put that off
Yeah.
too, because I know Brian submitted some stuff this afternoon, which I haven't had time to go through.
It's just
So
updated
why don't we
from the
just,
first round.
why don't we just plan, and that has to do
Yeah.
with the sponsorship stuff, just handle that the next subcommittee meeting and
Yeah,
kinda
well, the
go
only
over
thing
it.
that I might wanna go over with your thing is a couple of the questions that I sent
You had
out.
some good questions. Yeah,
It worries me about real estate,
yeah, that's,
and if we get way too many people, what are
Oh,
we
in
gonna
terms
do?
of-
so
Yeah.
that's where you have to look at supply and demand and go, maybe the price points aren't the right
That's what I
price
was getting
points.
towards. If we
So-
start getting a lot of people, we might wanna bump the cost.
Right,
So just something to think about.
yeah, because I don't know how much real estate we really have versus how much interest you're gonna have for the price points that we're thinking about
Right.
making it as affordable as possible to support the event.
We kinda had that discussion at the subcommittee meeting that, let's go out small, next year, once it takes off, we can build it and bring it up, if it goes that way.
Yeah.
But in the past, we've always had trouble getting sponsorship.
First
so
couple of years, we did well, and
Yeah.
then, well, I mean,
After COVID and stuff,
after,
it was kinda
yeah,
tough.
but I think that we might have a different view this time.
One more thing with that, Mark, with Main
Yeah.
Street Live. Have you been in touch with the barricade guy?
Yeah, Joe Grant, yeah.
It's all locked down, the date and everything with him? he's
Last
all
I
set?
talked to him was a week ago, and he said, let me just make sure I don't have anything, and I haven't heard back from him.
Okay, can you just follow up
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah,
Okay. And then whenever you guys are the next agenda item, the subcommittee meeting, I don't know if you guys want to meet now in June, or do you want to meet in July?
Probably sooner rather than
Okay.
later.
sooner rather than later, only because there are some decisions that we wanna make that are gonna allow us to move forward. Even if we don't have like a July meeting or an
Yeah.
August meeting, whatever we decide on, we can still have.
What week are you
subcommittee
guys
meetings.
thinking?
I'm kind of, I'm available next week, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but Tuesday night, we have that master plan meeting already, so the 29th, Wednesday, the 29th. I don't care if you want to meet during the day or whenever, or do another Zoom.
Wednesday, the 29th. That works.
Does that
Works for
work
me. What time you thinking to now?
I don't care.
Mid-morning works better for me, but I'm not good with Zooms. I don't think we get a lot accomplished with
You want to
Zooms.
do it in live?
I'd rather do it live if
Okay.
possible, if
Okay.
people are available.
I'm around.
If it's during the day, I'd prefer Zoom. If we do it after work, then night, I could meet here on 5:15.
Want to do it 5:30 on the 29th?
Yeah, I can do that. Is that?
Does
something
does
that's doable?
5:15 work? I have to be somewhere at 6.
5:15?
Yeah, would that
I
work?
don't think that's gonna go much longer than that, if at all.
Yeah.
All right, so 5:15 works for everyone?
Yeah.
Is that gonna be doable room-wise, if we meet here?
If not, you wanna
I
meet
could,
in my
yeah,
office, that's
we have
open.
options, so I can check either 116, 112 might be open.
All right, so you'll let us know if there's a problem,
Yeah.
or send out
So
whatever.
June
we need.
29th,
Let you know
5:15?
this
June
meeting.
29th,
Yeah.
5:15.
Perfect.
Okay. Got it.
Got it.
I don't think there's really much else, like, everything's in line right now for the event. You're doing entertainment. We just gotta get the sponsorships nailed down and get that going next, and then after that, probably just getting advertising going and, billboards going and things like that.
You know, one other thing that we should think about is, where was I going with this? I had, then I started listening to you and now I lost it, but it's important. I'll think of it and bring it up again.
When you promote Main Street Live a couple weeks in advance with the billboards, do you also have access to the digital sign by CBS? Like where they promote fireworks?
Like
or
the
what-
police sign?
Yeah,
the
Yeah, we
police
do have
department
access to
does
that.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't do it a month out, they might
Whatever,
do it
yeah.
a week or two
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
I think that's what
Do we
it
have
said.
any A-frames that we would wanna promote in the areas that the town allows A-frames? I actually have a couple of
No.
A-frames.
Like sandwich board signs?
Yeah.
You'll, as you've seen before, people start asking us
Yeah.
about this event.
We haven't done a banner either.
I think we should do all the electronic stuff that we can possibly do, plus the new police station sign up at the corner of
Right.
South Street.
Yeah.
Cause that's seen by a lot of people, Common Street, and I don't know, maybe, we've done this, we've talked about this forever. They won't let us do a banner over, Main Street, but we could do one,
On the common,
the
that's
common
only a
ones I
little
don't think get
6-foot one.
read,
I know it's
they
not
don't
big
get
enough.
looked at,
What
in
can
my
do-
But
opinion.
Beth used to always put in newspapers. She used to deal with the Hometown
Okay.
Weekly, and
You wanna
we
throw
do it
that in there?
the 2 and 3 weeks, I think, ahead of the event. We used to
Hey,
put an ad in.
Question for you on that. So I see, you know, Beth puts something in and it's like, I have to search for it and I'm looking for it. And then when Norwood Day is right around the corner, you would think that it was like the president's inauguration, what the Hometown Weekly does for Norwood Day.
Right.
They just go nuts with that.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? What are they doing? How do we get something closer to that type of, are they paying for that?
I would say yes, cause that's the insert they have.
Yeah.
right?
Well, they also
So,
have like, I know they're paying for like the double page fold in the middle and everything, but if it's not unaffordable,
It's affordable if you, cause I did an insert to promote our offices up on Route
but
1.
they're not doing an insert, they're doing print.
But I'm saying I did an insert, and when you just select the town of
Here's
Walpole
the
and
free
you're not doing
version.
the other towns,
Just,
it's reasonable, and you can now control a piece of paper that's
Press release is
quality
free,
paper,
if you
that
wanna
when you
have it as
open
an
up the
actual
thing, it
advertisement.
falls
you have
out.
to pay for it, which,
And they do like a blow in and it's, or
And they
it's,
do the
yeah,
whole thing, so
Yeah.
I mean, I could get you
So-
pricing on
yeah,
that.
that'd be good.
The
so I
Norwood
can, I
days.
can look into that also. I mean, if Beth is doing it as a press release, I believe it's free, but if you actually do wanna have it as a
Right, press
featured
release is
article,
free.
you pay for it, so it's a couple $100 or something.
Well, they
like that.
clearly want us to pay for it because the press releases
It's buried.
Yeah,
has been buried in such places that I literally have to search and I can't find it.
And this thing worked, we got a client out of it.
Yeah,
Been
I
with
mean,
us
you,
2.5 years.
you have a good freaking softball game and it's all over the paper.
Yeah.
But you wanna promote Main Street Live and I have to search like, I'm in an escape room, for God's sakes.
you can get like an updated version of the poster or the flyer and just see about having that in there, if that would help.
It's exactly
Yep.
what would
Yeah.
be printed was the post.
How
What would
about,
be in it. I
how
think
do we
a
get
4-page ad.
editorial? Advertorial, how do we do that?
Call Mara.
Yeah, I was just saying, just have to call and figure out, hey, you wanna do this, we wanna have it be visible and, figure out pricing from there.
Even talk about Main Street Live, have someone talk about it and get some editorial out of it as well that we pay for.
We had a nice
Something with
write-up
Walpole
at the,
Media.
we had a nice write-up at the end of last year from it.
Yeah, it was all right.
I mean, we could, you just gotta make time to sit down and do it with her.
I don't think the person that wrote that last year ever had any fun a day in their lives, but. But, yeah, I see where you're going. I see other things get a lot of press there, and there's gotta be a way to,
Well,
get that.
I think with the Norwood Day, when you got 100 merchants that are there selling their wares, it's a little bit different than what we're doing.
much bigger, but I don't want something that big,
Yeah.
but certainly.
I think that's why you see such a big splash.
No, I agree. Something in between what we have and what they have would be awesome.
What's the splash for Walpole Day? What do they do for
Better
Walpole
than,
Day? You
better
involved
than
in
Main
that?
Street Live, yeah.
I'm not really
They
affiliated
did,
with it as
they
much.
did a map of their
Booths and stuff?
booths.
Yeah.
And then they had like a Walpole Day returning and blah, blah, the whole write-up and everything.
So, I mean, I could look into that. Like I said, if I get an updated version of the flyer, we have some pictures from last year's event, and then we can work on a write-up or something. That helps.
You
So, I
have
mean-
last year's flyer, right?
I have last year's flyer, so
Word
yeah.
document so you can edit it?
I can add that.
And if you have a contact there.
Yeah.
And you wanna give them my number, honestly,
Yeah.
I can, try to put some things together that, I think would look pretty good
That sounds good.
in that paper. So if you want, I don't wanna take up your cycles on it, but I wanna make sure that we get something out of it, you know?
Yeah, not a problem.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any Main Street Live stuff?
Do we want to make another subcommittee meeting other than June 29th? Want to do something in July, or do you want to wait till after the 29th and do it? 'Cause I see on the agenda it says for July and August. It's up to you guys.
Why don't we,
I know it's summertime and everybody's
We-
busy, so
yeah.
maybe we should wait.
we
till
can
get
move to
closer.
that
Let's wait till
agenda
the
item if we
29th.
want to right
yeah,
now.
We'll wait till we
Take
get
it a week
closer.
at a
See once we
time.
get done.
Yeah.
Mark, was your
That's fine.
recommendation for,
Alright.
agenda item 2, is that to have the Main Street Live meetings replace the regular scheduled meetings for these 2 months, or?
If it falls on people's schedules, but I'm not sure that we get too much accomplished. I'm not saying we eliminate both regular meetings, maybe one or the other. I know the summer meetings tend to be, other than Main Street Live, so why bring everyone?
Yeah.
If we just need subcommittee
That ways.
meetings. Of course, everyone is the subcommittee now, so. But whatever people think, that's why I wanted it on the agenda. I know that people go away and, as long as we're covering what we need to cover for Main Street Live, I think that will cover our summer meetings. Do you
Yeah.
see anything coming up that's overly important for us to have to deal with?
The only thing,
Zoning bylaw?
yeah, so possibly probably later, either in the summer or very early fall. I've been working on a few different articles, or potential articles between myself and the building commissioner that some are related obviously to economic development or closely tied to that. I certainly would want to provide,
But we should be doing those in July, because doesn't the warrant close in August?
closes in August, yeah,
So
but
we should do that,
So have a July meeting,
and maybe let the.
deal with
August go.
those, and then not have an August meeting
Yeah.
other than subcommittee meetings?
that probably makes more sense, especially with Main Street Live, if you had August.
Okay. Let's do that. If that works for everybody.
Fine with me, I'm here available either meeting.
I don't think I'm available the third Tuesday in July.
What date is that?
19th.
The 19th.
Oh, yeah, I'll be in Aruba.
Ron back.
Good for you.
So are we gonna keep the 19th meeting or no?
It depends on how many we're missing.
I'll be there.
You'll be there, I'll be there.
They said you couldn't be there.
No, July?
No, Brian can't,
No,
Brian's going
Brian,
to
that was
Aruba.
Brian.
I'm fine on the 19th.
I'm good too.
So there's our 4 plus Beth if she's
Okay.
around,
Okay,
so that should work.
alright, so keep the July meeting.
Keep the July meeting. I'm assuming we'll have a subcommittee meeting on or around that day.
Sometime in July, we're gonna have to do something at least to
If you
nail
do
that
it
down.
before the 19th, I can make it.
Okay,
Okay,
so
yeah, all right,
I'm
let's do
gone
that
late
then.
July too.
I'm gone last week of July.
I'm gone the 24th through the 7th, so if we wanna do something around the 13th of July,
When we say the 12th, because I'm taking
12th?
off on the 13th.
okay?
So if the 12th works for a subcommittee meeting, that'll be fine with me.
Playing
Do the
golf on
same thing at
13th.
do
No,
the
no.
5
I'm
o'clock or
headed
5:15?
somewhere.
I can't do the 12th, I have,
Okay,
But,
I can do the 11th.
I could do the 11th. Wanna do 5 o'clock again?
Monday, the 11th?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I should be able to do
I'm
that.
up here anyway. then.
And what's our one in
5
in
o'clock?
June?
June
The
29th,
29th at 5:30.
5:15.
5:15.
When's
So we're
the,
a week and a half. Are
That
things
too
gonna
close together?
change? Are things gonna change so
You're right.
much in a week and a
yeah,
half?
that is kinda
No, it's-
tight, isn't it?
Yeah. What about the last week of July?
I'm gone.
I'm
I'm
done.
gone.
How about, wouldn't you say the 19th?
Yeah, I'm gone the 19th.
How about the 18th? I
It's right before the EDC meeting the next day.
Could we meet, I was gonna say, you could also have a subcommittee meeting after
EDC
the meeting.
on the 19th.
But we don't have Brian on the
Yeah.
nineteenth,
Oh, okay.
but we can get him on the eighteenth.
Let's do the 18th,
18th?
2 days in a row.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I am too.
So this
Five-
is
5
replacing
o'clock?
the 11th? The 11th
Yes.
is now the 18th?
No, the 18th.
5
Replace
PM.
the,
So 5 o'clock on the 18th, and then 5:15 the 29th of June. Got it.
Works for me.
And do we want to talk about scheduling subcommittee meetings in August at the subcommittee meeting?
Yeah.
But
When we
do we
get
want to
closer.
talk about eliminating the regular meeting in August? What's been done in the past, don't know.
We've always taken one or the other,
Yeah.
one meeting off in the summertime.
the August one.
And because we have
Like last-
town meeting stuff coming up,
I think we
For
should do,
July.
meet July and let August go.
I remember last year, I
And if
think
we need, you know how we left it in the past? We kind of said we're gonna take off that, but if we needed to meet, we all agreed to meet.
right,
So if something important comes up that we can come in and do for the August meeting, so. but
I'd
if
say
not-
decide on the 19th.
I could check last year, we even had a subcommittee meeting the week before,
Yeah.
Main Street Live as well, so.
Any other meeting.
Oh, we probably
Regular
will
meeting.
as well.
Yeah, we will as
Just
well.
to
You're still
wrap,
having that
just to
meeting?
make sure everything's in
Yeah.
line.
Yep,
do we need to vote on not having our August meeting? Or can we just not have an
Not
August meeting?
posted, I think.
just not post it, I mean, just,
Yeah, if you don't post it, that's it, right, you don't have it,
yeah,
okay. All right.
Or post that there will be no meeting.
I can just do cancel, it's fine.
Okay?
Good. That done. Zoning bylaws,
So, I think last time we met, I provided a little bit of the table use regulation as well as dimensional requirements and kind of brought that to this committee. If anyone had any questions or views, obviously, everyone kind of brings their own, their expertise and their perspective as economic development professionals or with the town. So, right now, I have a few things going on that obviously I can present for the July 19th meeting. I can have that kind of wrapped up. Luckily, I have a little bit of a break right now between June and July. I can focus on kind of getting stuff written. But if anyone between, you know, from now or from last meeting, if anyone looked into that, or anyone had any questions or concerns they want to bring up.
Just some suggestions. I
Yeah.
took our last meeting and made some notes.
Yep.
Making a drive-through and highway business by right through a special permit,
Okay.
not, you know, just by right in the highway
Yeah.
business, because it's so, not a special permit, because it's such an easy, that's where we're at.
Okay.
Changing building height on highway business only
Yeah.
to 6 stories. And changing the front setback
Yeah,
in highway business.
that's a big
20.
one.
Yeah,
The 20?
to 20, or 10 or 20.
It's currently 50,
Yeah.
and you can't do anything in it?
No parking,
You have to
nothing.
get a variance if you want to do parking.
is this only Route 1 we're talking about?
Yeah, because those are the ones Doug didn't do, and then the one question I didn't look into was when we talked about it extensively last time was the parking in CBD. I'm not versed enough to really make a suggestion on it yet, but I think you've looked into it.
I'm looking into that.
Yeah, there's
one,
too many
so-
moving parts about using city lots, if you can use overnight parking in city lots. I know Norwood does that, and just lower the
Yeah, so I mean, offhand, I know like for the lot behind us, you know, there are certain different, if you look at it, it all looks like public parking, but there are certain lease agreements for the public parking lot of Stone Street. That's more commercial based, I don't think, I don't wanna say I'm wrong or not, but I could be wrong in the sense that I don't know if there's any residential spaces per se actually out there.
Like allocated spaces?
Yeah, I mean,
There isn't, and there never has been, but there's always been allowed overnight parking,
Yeah.
with the exception of tractor trailers.
Yeah, I think the big issue that I was aware of at last year was parking in the lots during snow removal. So obviously that becomes problematic if it's, someone's parking overnight and you have to clear the lots, then, you know, it's, becomes an issue that way. But obviously, in the central business district as well as the East Walpole, parking overlay district, which is more or less kind of that town, that center of East Walpole, we do allow for a waiver to commercial parking. The issue seems to be residential parking. Specifically in the central business district, we've had, 2 major developments go up. Even a smaller development where the old Bank of America building was, had to, sought a variance for parking. So looking into a solution to kind of have a more scaled back version of residential parking requirements for the central business district, and
Or just having a bylaw in place that every time a variance is not needed.
well, that or you can find a solution that's probably more, so right now it's two parking spaces per unit, which is kind of the baseline, which may work for more may work for more, suburban residential areas, but if it's in a downtown area where you have higher density, you have public transit, both Union West and Liberty Station both sought parking reductions because they did not need the amount of parking that was within our bylaws, so there's kind of there's a precedent, I guess, set in terms of these type of developments.
Well, they sought a variance, right?
Correct,
And they were granted the variance.
correct.
But why go that
To John's point, though, I think a variance like that can be used to selectively deny people that you don't want to build. I don't like that.
Which is why I would see a reduction in parking requirements
Yes,
for
that's what
residential.
I agree.
That's what,
I
I think
wouldn't
that's what you're
waive
saying,
it,
right, John?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
without
what
a
I said.
variance
Yeah.
needed.
Use a bylaw, not a variance. The
Right.
bylaw will
Not
say,
required in
you
the
need this
city.
much parking, and it'll be
For
lower.
residential.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what
yeah,
I-
yeah, we're on the same page, yeah, I'm just, you gotta have some sort of threshold, I wouldn't have it
Definitely.
open-ended. Whereas commercial parking, you have a little bit more flexibility, because you do have street parking, you have off-peak hours whereas, tenants, someone's gonna be there overnight.
Yeah.
Is there a requirement for commercial parking now?
There is none.
There
So
is
that's
none.
actually kind of a nice thing that this town has, and not every town has a waiver for commercial parking. But obviously, we're seeing a lot, in at least the past, I don't know, over 5 years now, build up with, with Liberty Station, Union West, potential to grow, future developments in the future. So,
Is it true Tessie's are putting a second floor on?
I'm not aware of that, no.
What?
I heard they're trying to put a second floor on, a roof deck.
Where?
Tessie's in
A roof deck or a
Oh.
second floor?
a roof deck, I'm not sure.
Might, I don't know. I didn't hear
Who
that.
owns that building?
Some guy in.
Norwood.
Rocks, yeah, is it Norwood?
I think it's
Yeah.
Norwood. I don't know offhand, unless they've applied.
Not, sorry, not T's.
Tessie's.
Tessie's.
Tessie's, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard Mark was trying to buy that building, but I might have heard wrong.
He has, but the guy won't sell
Guy
it to
won't
him.
sell it to him?
But-
To get back on John's thing about setbacks, I just don't think it should be limited to Route 1. I think it should be limited to that zone. There's highway business up and down Route 1A too, isn't there? I think that should be, I
I
think.
said highway
So-
business.
Oh, I thought you said only on Route
No,
1.
I said highway business, yeah.
So Highway Business District is, in this town is along the portions that cross over Route 1. For
Mhm.
1A, as you mentioned, it's kind of a mixed bag. You have some that area,
Manufacturing, limited manufacturing,
Yeah, so
CBD.
south of the south of the downtown, the Central Business District, it's predominantly business and LM, limited manufacturing. So,
I thought some of that got changed, some of the LM got changed.
But LM has
Especially
very
up by the
favorable
Aquifer
side backs.
Protection District, huh?
yeah,
LM has very favorable side backs, setbacks, there's not huge restrictions.
some
The
of that
lack
area-
of sewer up there cause problems for that?
It's interesting. I know, I think DPW has mentioned looking
Actually,
into
lack
it.
of sewer,
Where's the
Some
sewer
feasibility.
system
What's up?
setback
Where does the sewer stop?
would be able to, if they got rid
Oh,
of
I
it.
don't know offhand, I just know, like, if you're looking at, the Walpole Industrial Park, for example, that was a location that I think they possibly might look into as a feasibility. That's a location that it's a unique piece of property. I think if you're gonna do something like that today, it may be difficult due to all the wetlands that is surrounding that area. But is there potential for growth in that area? Absolutely. I'm just, not to think way down the line, this is gonna kind of go off a whole different area, but you're thinking of the area across from the athletic fields, obviously where the prison is, what the future lies of there. That's an interesting thing. I don't think there's nothing we can really do right now in terms of wait to see what happens with that
Are
location.
they closing it?
They are closing that. I'm not sure what the state's plan is to do with Cedar Junction, though, in the future. So right now, it's kind of something to kind of think about maybe in the next couple of years or so.
I would say, do they have a timeline or even a close timeline as to when they're gonna close that?
I don't
thought it was
remember
within
offhand.
2
I mean,
years.
it's.
Really, that
Yeah,
soon?
I thought it was, the wind down was coming fairly quickly.
I think you're right.
I heard they already started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought within 2 years that's
what I
my
heard too.
assumption,
I believe it's
that may
something like
not
that.
exist.
Yeah, so. it's
Tear
a-
it down and build a new high school out there.
Patrick, has anyone mentioned anything about signage
I wanted
for
a
the
racetrack,
CBD
but
district?
that's,
Signage in terms of like wayfinding? Or
No, signage for businesses and stuff like
Businesses?
that.
Um,
Can only be front lit, no backlighting, no digitals. I don't know if that's gonna be
signage
looked
bylaws
at.
in general, I could take another look into.
It can't be backlit?
No, not
Like,
in
a-
the center
like,
of
like
town.
a, like, like a,
Can't even, I think it has to be made out of wood too, doesn't it?
I don't know if it's wood. I think you can use different materials, but I know I just had, my sign guy was looking at to do a signage and it's like, it's gotta be front lit, can't be neon, which,
Sometimes
I'm
you
not
try to go
promoting
away from
neon.
that. I don't know, I'll have to take another closer look to see. Sometimes I like the gooseneck lighting, which, I'll have to take a look into that, honestly. Doesn't come up that much with me,
okay.
but other than that,
Those are
yeah.
important points, John, thank you
Yeah,
for
they
bringing
are.
those out. Those, you know, it's always been, you know, Norwood seeing all this for decades, all the revenue that comes in from Route 1, and then you hit Walpole. And for decades, it was almost like a ghost town out there, comparatively speaking, and it was from the restrictions. And then you hit Foxborough, and it's like, you know, the Emerald
Back
City
on,
again.
yeah.
And Walpole's in between, so I think that's a really great step in the right direction, trying to change. I mean, let's face it, Route 1 should be a lot different in Walpole than it is right now. And I think it could be with, at a minimum, incremental changes like that, but maybe a complete overhaul and new look for Route 1. But anyway,
Yeah.
thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll have that something, kind of make that a topic for the 19th
oh,
of July.
and sorry, one more thing I have to bring up.
Uh,
There's a WPROD district, Wetland Protection Resource Overlay District.
Yes.
And I dig into that because I was curious on some land, and I guess that district was made arbitrarily, just on like guesses. And there was no geological work done to figure it out. And it actually makes no sense on where the district is now, because where the well fields are and where the point of the district is to save it one day if we do have to drill more wells. But you wouldn't be drilling wells on Route 1, just because the land's too valuable. The town
Famous
would-
last words.
Actually, if you're referring to the Water Protection District,
Yeah.
which is put in for the wells, there was a lot of studies done with Weston and Sampson did all reports to determine, to delineate the aquifer was done back in the
I was told by,
80s, maybe, in the 80s it was done to determine water flows when they actually originally did the Water Protection Act.
was it supposed to protect water flows coming into the current wells, or was it supposed to protect
Yes,
future?
into the existing and possibly future wells for the town of Walpole.
Yeah, the possibly future part, I think, was the portion where, back then it was all farmland, and now it's not.
But there was an elaborate town-wide or around the existing ones where they determined by underground water flow the areas and the zones, and that's how that was all done back in the 80s and 90s. Not that I don't think it's changed the flow of that, but that's how that was all done, and that was all done in conjunction with the state in an overlay of the state's requirements, because the state has requirements as well to protect the well fields that you have to go by.
Yeah.
Walpole did go a little bit beyond it when they did their zones, like, the state kinda has zones 1 and 2, and then Walpole went and added zones 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And those are the different ones, but there was studies done, and I've been through this, that they've drilled wells and did all the drilling to determine the water flow, and the stuff up on Route 1 does all flow down to the, School Brook.
Oh, it does?
I mean, yeah, it all flows down in that area, and I got property into it, and it went into it in big depth, you know, up in that with
I
Walpole
see.
Park South and everything, and how I actually got buildings in Walpole Park South that half of the building is in a zone and the other half's out, and then it has different uses that are allowed in it. But it was determined was, the thickness between the top of the land and the actual water level determined the zone
If
in
you
the
go over
areas.
40-something feet, but you could actually get out of the district by drilling and proving that you're not within that so many feet.
You could, if you wanted to spend the money and go ahead and do that, but it was expensive, lengthy
Yeah.
thing to do.
Didn't your business up on Route 1 Pine Street, I was on planning board at that time. Didn't the land that the grade you took off the top, didn't that change your depth to the point where you had a problem up there for a little while and then you,
No, that wasn't the
Fixed it?
problem. The problem is where, like Danell said, where you situate the building on the land.
yeah.
The
You're like
district,
zone 3 in the
the
back of
district hit
that.
the corner, so I moved the building forward to get out of the district.
To get out of Area 3.
Right.
Which that type of use isn't permitted in that
Correct.
thing, but actually, since you're recycling, it probably is, because you're not discharging.
Zero
And you're on
discharge.
sewer too.
On sewer.
I remember that for some reason.
If you were on septic, it wouldn't have been allowed.
No, of course not.
Here's a dumb question, but I honestly don't know the answer. Have the methods that they use to map out aquifers and whatnot changed in the last 50 or 60 years where we might get more accurate views if it was redone, or is it just drill and find out where it is and just go from there?
I don't know.
I think it's worth looking into. Yeah, I'm definitely not an expert in terms of how they actually went
Yeah.
about finding this. I just, sometimes,
We
there's
went
a
through sewer and
technology-
water.
Went through sewer and water, but like in terms of actually, back in the 80s, they drilled and then they mapped. I'm not sure what type of calculations they
They didn't
used,
drill
but-
1,000 times, so they drilled here and then they drilled way down there and then said, yeah. So what I'm thinking is like with John's situation specifically,
Yeah.
you're talking about 50 feet or something, right? Where you had to move the building. Imagine what that 50 feet would have meant to you,
Yeah.
right? So maybe
It makes
after
a lot of
60
land
years.
not useful, so I'll take my own situation now, apply it to every landowner in Wampus in
Yeah.
the district.
So that section of the bylaw itself, so not just the zoning, but then the map itself, just offhand, I mean, maybe it's a possibility if I can discuss that with probably sewer and water and maybe take a look into, can we do another study? Can we bring just another, we look for funding to maybe.
Either to verify or just
Yeah, I
be more
mean-
precise.
Yeah.
It's out of my wheelhouse of expertise. I would definitely have to talk to the staff that does kind of,
I mean, imagine having a zoning change get denied because of something that was imprecise when it could have happened if we knew.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. If we're trying to make positive changes, but we're working off 60-year-old information.
Or maybe make it so, because right now, because again, from my own experience, make it so there's a process to get out of the zone without going to town meeting. So if the metric is that you have to drill so many feet and you find X,
Yeah.
then the Board of Appeals or they could then make the determination so long as,
So rather than
fingers
changing
that came out.
the overlay map, so to speak, if you were to able
Yards,
to make a
fingers
change
that
to the
came out.
bylaw in order to
Well, they
approve
did
it,
a lot
Yeah.
of drilling.
right now you
Then
have
you
to go to
can
town
receive-
meeting to
Western
change
Simpson
overlay
did
map.
it.
you're gonna see the special permit or something to.
As long as you meet the metrics and you're
Yeah.
not in that zone.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, it definitely probably could use a better look at.
Right.
Yeah, if especially it was done in the 80s, 2020, I would imagine the technology could hopefully refine the map,
Yeah. Okay,
Let you expand it.
all right.
so.
All right.
What's next, Mark?
We go with department updates. I think we went over this a little bit last time, so ARPA funding requests, the last select board meeting, I didn't have to speak, but I did go to the meeting, I had a few of my requests in. I know they're looking over them, for the next couple weeks, probably gonna touch base back in sometime in July. A few of the things of note that I was hoping to seek funding for was a recovery grant for businesses impacted from the Route 1A construction, technical assistance grant for downtown businesses, and the basis for that was back in 2021, we did the Rapid Recovery Plan, which was a state-funded grant program to look at initiatives specifically geared towards municipal town centers or downtowns to help facilitate economic growth. I was also looking into wayfinding and branding, downtown pedestrian corridor improvements, and a lot of it, pretty much all of these grant requests were coming off of either that Rapid Recovery Plan, but a lot of them also had been touched on in 2019 in the Parking and Economic Development Study and in the 2015 Downtown Action Plan. So one of the first things I think I heard about when I came here is, we've done a lot of studies. Let's see if we can actually do some of these things that we put in the action plan. So I'll keep the board note, especially if I hear by July, if the select board is still discussing those ARPA funding requests. I've also looked into funding opportunities through the Community One Stop program. I think I've mentioned this before in the past. Essentially, the state took a bunch of different infrastructure-related grant programs, combined it into one application portal. So rather than applying to a bunch of different grants, you apply based upon the project. The state designates a grant program that's most applicable. So the technical assistance grant and the wayfinding program, I applied for those two programs because there were two applicable grant programs existing that were in this platform that kind of fit the scope of work of what I was trying to do. So unfortunately for that, I don't hear until November. It's kind of a long wait to hear what we find out from there. So other than that, like I said, I'll keep the board updated on where we go. I think my requests were a little bit heftier than I would want to ask, but just because the process of putting forward kind of, I wouldn't say a wish list, but what you would hope to get done with some of this funding. I think I was around a little over 1.2 million, but there was about 48 million, I think, in funding requests. So a ton of work that the select board has to go through to figure out what would
work.
with
Yeah.
funding.
Quick question. The first one you mentioned, I just want to make sure I heard it right. Is there any funding or grants available to help the Route 1A businesses unrelated to COVID with the construction that's going on?
Offhand, I don't believe anything fits that specific.
Like Country Kitchen must be
Problem?
getting hammered.
Yeah.
Things like that, and it's,
One source that I usually kind of look
Watson's,
towards
yeah.
is the Massachusetts Growth Capital Corporation as a quasi-public agency. They have a ton of resources. They've usually been the group that I've gone to look at in terms of what grant programs are available, both private programs as well as state and federally funded programs. That's kind of where I could think of right now, and I'm offhand, I don't know what exactly would fit the bill of something like that.
I just think some of those small businesses are getting the what kicked out of them right now.
And that was definitely was the precedent for why I wanted to put something like this forward. With talking to town administration as well. I mean, I think we're definitely we see it, we hear it. It's nothing that we can totally control, but if we can utilize some ARPA funding,
Right.
That'd be a wonderful opportunity to kind of provide some assistance.
Yeah, I hate to see these companies make it through COVID and then get crushed by a road project,
Yes.
So, all right, yeah, let us, if you come up with anything on that, that'd be awesome. I know a lot of people are reaching out and asking, so.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I believe the select board continued the meeting to sometime in July, so hopefully we'll know by the 19th, if not, probably by August.
Great.
Excellent.
All right, I think that's it, right?
Yeah, other than that, master plan update, there's a survey going on currently. The survey is focusing on almost a goal and strategy survey. So back in the fall, the committee worked both in the fall public forum as well as the follow-up survey to kind of formalize our goals for the master plan. So we have our set sections of the plan itself. There's 10 goals, and then throughout the fall. Public participation process, we're able to finalize the definition of how we want to achieve those specific goals. Currently, though, this survey is focusing on action items and potential action items that the public can respond to, both whether or not they agree with some of these options, they have suggestions, and all this data is great to help kind of formalize what will be the eventual recommendations and strategy to achieve the goals of the master plan. So that survey is available on the Master Plan 2022 webpage. So it's the committee's webpage, which can be found on the town's website under departments and committees, under committees and boards.
I think I saw
Yeah.
that. That was like a Survey Monkey thing that came out, right?
Should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took it.
You know, I'll tell you what, I took it too, but I'll
Yeah.
tell you one thing. Every question, now, I am a paranoid bastard anyway,
Yeah,
but every question I thought was steering me towards something.
really.
Yeah, and I didn't know what it was steering me towards, but it was almost like, do you like vanilla ice cream or do you like that bad chocolate ice cream? And it's like, well, I guess vanilla.
So-
I don't know what it was steering me towards, but it felt like it was.
The basis for some of those options, and I should clarify that, so basis for some of those options were, in this past April, we did have our second community forum. And so a lot of the feedback that was received in that community forum formed the basis for those suggested options. So anyone, if you don't agree with it, or you wanna add your opinion, I think that's what we want to hear from everybody, obviously, if you don't agree with it, or if you have something else to add. But in order to kind of have, to quantify the data, so to speak, rather than having open-ended questions, we tried to take information that was already provided through the public forum to at least allow us to quantify what was already
I think
there.
one of the questions I even wrote as my comment,
Yeah,
you can go through and find it, you probably will. Not that you will go look through and find it, but you'll be able to
He is
find
now.
it if you look through it.
Now we're
So
going,
that's what I mean by that. You'll be able to find it if you go looking for me.
yeah.
But on one of them was like the schools, it was like, do you like a plan to completely replace the middle school or, and the other thing was, do you wanna just do updates and fix the high school? And I'm like, well, wouldn't you do that anyway? I mean, you're not
don't
gonna
think that was
update
in there,
and
was it?
provide maintenance on the high school?
I don't remember.
I don't know if that was, yeah, so it was probably public facilities, that section of the
Yeah.
question, but I'll have to go
It
through.
was like,
read the
so I have
exact
to choose
language.
between get a new middle school or they're not gonna do the updates and
You can't,
maintenance on the high
you
school?
can't select both, it is.
Right.
Yeah, so, but to your point though, I think a lot of that information, it's hard to, a lot of this can be open-ended, and I think because we already received some good
Right.
feedback from the public forum, we want to find a way to at least quantify that data. That is definitely not in an exhaustive list of potential recommendations, and even information that we find throughout this process, we can add to that through just.
Did you write that?
regional No,
Okay, good. So what I'll say now is,
thanks.
you know, it seemed like I had to make a choice between getting a new middle school or they weren't gonna do any maintenance on the high school anymore. And I was like, what? Wait a minute, I have to choose? That's just the way the questions came out to me. I don't know if it
You
was
didn't have to
just me.
choose. You could pick each one that you
No,
wanted.
on this one question, it was like, I could only
I
choose
don't
one.
remember
I
that
don't remember
one.
that.
I don't remember that.
Maybe that was a different survey then. but
That's what I'm trying to figure out, if you're on the right survey or not.
It came from you, so,
I'll take a look, yeah.
I don't know, I felt like I was being cornered, but I always feel like that, so, you know.
Well, the new high school happened already.
But, all right,
Yeah.
yeah, good, all right, so I think that's everything, right?
Yeah.
Anybody wanna, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting?
motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, good. Out. Patrick, thank you.